Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar celebrating the new features in our Office 2018 release. Just wanted to let everyone know our 2018 release is shipping along with our content disc set for May, and will include all the features that we'll show you in the webinar today. I will be covering the new features in Worksheet 2018, and then Chad Boltice will show you what's new in 2020 Visual Impression 2018, and also highlight a few AutoCAD 2019 features that you might find helpful. Most of the new worksheet features that I'm going to show you were inspired from requests from customers who are selling educational furniture. But I think you'll find after you see them that they can be used to create compelling reports for all of your projects. So I'm going to tab over now. I've got a couple of, I have a project that I've created here. This is just a sample project, and it's got 4 different rooms. And I've created this in CAP. And then I'm going to tab over to Worksheet to show you the output from that. So I've got a couple of different worksheets showing here. One is this worksheet here is of everything that we have. And then I've got it broken down into a private office, and I'll show you those a little bit later. So a couple of new things that I wanted to point out right off. One new thing is we now have a link to our Knowledge Center off the toolbar. Just so you know, the Knowledge Center is a place where you can go, and there's a lot of information here on how to use different features. You can go in and select the product that you're interested in and find the feature that you want to work with. The other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is that also in Worksheet and in all of our Office applications, we have updated the branding within the application to what our current product names, and our 2020 no longer has a dash. So you'll see some things that are a bit different than what you've seen in the past, but all of those are updated now. If you look at the worksheet that I have open, I'm going to show you a couple of other things that came about in this release. One of those things is we now have a field for catalog name and manufacturer name. What this is this is going to be very helpful in explaining to, remembering yourself and explaining to your customer what the 3 character codes are. This information typically comes from the catalog itself. So you'll see that for some catalogs we have the catalog name, and for some manufacturers, let me go over to my other piece here, you can see we actually have the manufacturer name. Some manufacturers haven't yet been updated. So you can, as always, go in and type in the manufacturer's name if you'd like, and that will stay there. One of the other things that I want to talk about is we've had a feature in here for a while called Validate. And what Validate allows you to do is set some criteria to check your worksheet against. So typically it'll look and see if you have any incomplete options, or do you have any list prices that are less than 0, or is your sell price less than your purchase price. And then I've actually checked in here that is alias set to empty, so that would flag anything that did not have an alias value. And I've set that up just to show you some of the future things that I'm going to show in this webinar. So one of the things we've done with Validate now is we've actually added Validate to Update Against Catalog and Update Against Worksheet. So Update Against Catalog now has a checkbox here that says Validate items after the update is complete. So what this allows you to do is update against catalog, and it'll validate your worksheet at the same time instead of having to do 2 separate processes. So I'm going to go ahead and update here, and it tells me everything that was updated, and it shows me the validation screen. It shows me that everything that I have in there is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and close that, but I also want to call attention now that just to show you that the manufacturer name here that I typed in disappeared. Because that information is part of the catalog, if you manually type something in, it's going to disappear if you do an update against catalog, unless you click on the lock column and you lock that out, so it's not considered. Okay. The next part of this I want to show you is, we often think of worksheet and reporting when we want to generate quotes and pricing for our customers. But with 2020 Worksheet 2018, you can actually generate some reports for some other interesting situations that you run into with almost every project. So one of the things I'm going to show you here is I'm going to switch over to my private office worksheet, and I'm going to show you how I can generate a report that shows all the items in a specific room with an image of that room. So one of the first things I want to do is I need to select my image and set the report up. So I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to Worksheet Properties. And I've already named this Private Office Room 1 and 4. So if you remember back to my cap drawing, this is Room 1 and Room 4. And when I'm also going to look at Prepared For, and I've prepared this quote for our sample office furniture company. So I can click OK there. I'm going to apply that and close here. Then we have a new set of reports here that appear down at the bottom of our reports, and the one I'm going to show you now is Bid Report with Image. So I'm going to go ahead and click Bid Report with Image, and you can see that it will give me an image and also show all of the items that are in that worksheet. So again, this is of a specific room. So if I wanted that to look, just to show you some of the options that you have here, I can also go back to Worksheet Properties, and I can select Report, and I can select a different image. So let's say I wanted to show a floor plan that I've created out of VI of that room. I can select that floor plan. I can open it, apply it, and then when I refresh my report here, you can see I can have a nice floor plan and all of the items in here. So each one of the items has the product number, the quantity of items in the room. So you can see I have 2 guest chairs, so the quantity is 2, and then a description of the item in the room. So this is a nice one-page report that you can provide to your customer. I'm just going to show you one other thing. If I go back in and I go to Worksheet Properties again, and I change that. Let's say maybe I want to show a rendering here now. I can go in and I can browse for a rendering that I've put together. And when you browse here, I generally show all files, so I get all the files. And there's a rendering that I've created in VI. And when I open that and apply it and refresh my report, now I have a report that's got a rendering in it as well as all of the items in that room. So it's a really nice way to package things, especially individual rooms, for your customer to see. Okay. So to show you the next report, I'm going to switch over to my webinar worksheet here. And I'm going to show you I'm going to generate a report. As you can see, I have many items in here. This is actually a bill of materials on that entire project. I'm going to show you a report in here called a bid report, which allows me to show 3 large images at a time on a report. So if you can see, I had already gone into my worksheet properties and I added private office rooms 1 and 4. And for the sample office furniture company, now I have on one sheet, I have 3 individual images with their manufacturer name, if it's available, the part number that I'm looking at, the sell price for that item and the quantity, and then the total sale price. The nice thing about this report is now when I go to page 2, I have 3 other items, and it does the same breakdown. So as you can see on a large project, this would be a helpful way to package the information for your customer to read it. This report is also good to show a good, better, best scenario. So I've kind of created a worksheet that just talks about the guest chairs in my private office. And I've basically placed that guest chair, the 255cc, I've placed it 3 different times, or brought it into the worksheet 3 different times. And I've optioned it in 3 different varieties. So the first one here is just standard fabric. The second is a standard fabric, but it's actually a leather, so you can see that it's a little, this would be my better example. It's a little more expensive. And then the last one is in a perforated leather, which is a high-end version of that. So using that same report, I can go back to reports. I can say apply report design and a bid report. And as you can see, I changed my title to good, better, best. And now I can very quickly show my customer what this chair is going to look like in 3 different scenarios. So that's another handy way to use this report. Okay, then the next thing I want to show you is I'm going to go back to my webinar report. And one of the things that I want to talk about here is the other common thing you have to do on a project is, if you remember back to the project that I'm looking at here, at some point I've got to have my installers know what room to put each piece of furniture in. So I can actually now create a report out of Worksheet that will tell my installers where those items need to go. So I can do that using the room report. So if I go back into reports and I take my bill of materials for that whole item and I say create a room report, what it's going to do is it creates a single page of each item in the room. It will give me the quantity of them, who the manufacturer is, what the part number is, and description. And then it will tell me, based on the aliases that I have assigned, it will tell me what room and what quantity of that item needs to go in each room. So in this case, we have 6 of these tables need to go into room 2, and 6 need to go into room 3. So if we look back at our project, I've got 6 tables in here, and I have 6 tables in here. The nice thing about this report is it also builds a page for every item. So if I go to the next page in this report, now I have all my task chairs. I have 12 of these chairs that are going to go in room 2 and room 3. I've got 4 guest chairs that are going to go into my individual private offices, 2 in each room. 2 executive chairs, and each room they're going to go into. And you see the point that I can build a series of sheets that tell me which items go into which rooms. Okay. So those are the new reports that we have in Worksheet and the new columns. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Chad, and he's going to show you some of the new things in visual impression and some highlights of AutoCAD 2019. Here you go, Chad.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen. All right, so everyone should be looking at my AutoCAD screen right now. So the first few things I'm going to show you are within AutoCAD. These are AutoCAD 2019 features. They're not specifically CAP features, but they are either new or updated in AutoCAD 2019. In AutoCAD 2019, the first time we're going to be supporting that is with 2020 CAP version 2018.0. So here we are in AutoCAD 2019. I have this drawing open called Office Plan 1, and I have another drawing called Office Plan 2. So the first thing that we're going to cover actually is doing the compare function within AutoCAD. Now I have these 2 floor plans, and if you look at them, you can see that there are some differences. You see some things jumping around. You see a little bit of visual differencing that you can catch. But this compare function is going to be very useful for when you need to do a reconfigure, because it will look through the entire drawing and look at the geometry and find everything that's different. So even if you wanted to take the time and compare this version 1 and version 2 drawing and find what you think is everything, you're always going to have that question in the back of your head: did I miss something that was different? Is there some panel that's different off in one space, or is there one chair that differs in one place that didn't get swapped out by mistake? Using the compare function, you can actually do a geometry compare across everything in the drawing in a pretty easy step. So I'm going to click on DWG Compare, and that pops up a window where it asks me what is the drawing 1 and what is drawing 2. I'm going to actually change this from version 2 to version 1 for first one, and drawing 2 is going to be version 2. And everything in drawing 1 will be green. Everything in drawing 2 will be red. We'll see that in a second. I'm going to click Compare. What happens is it creates a temporary file. When it's done with doing the compare, it actually names it Compare Office Plan 1 versus Office Plan 2. And it puts some revision clouds in the drawing. So I'm going to zoom in on these revision clouds. So you have a yellow revision cloud, and then I have some lateral files here that are in green. Now, if you remember, green means that these items were in the first drawing. If something is in the second drawing, it'll be red. So that means that this is in the second drawing, this is in the first drawing. So it tells you where the differences are for things that are or are not there from one drawing to the next. Now if I pan down a little bit more, you'll see that there was a bunch of revision clouds around all of these chairs. Now this is going to be a little bit more real world where it's hard to catch when there's been a change. It's a little bit easier because these chairs do have some different geometry, but if you're talking about going from one model of chair to another model of chair where one has arms and the other doesn't, that might be kind of hard to catch the difference. So this draws a yellow revision cloud around each one of the chairs. It shows you that one chair is green, one chair is red. And so that indicates which drawing that chair appeared in. If you have items that are sitting directly on top of each other, like say that there was a work surface that had it was sitting in the exact same footprint. And you came in here and there was a revision cloud around this work surface, but it just showed green. So you didn't understand why is this different? Well, there's a draw order change that you can do here where it flips the order, and there might be two things sitting exactly on top of each other that are actually different from one another. And that's where the draw order comes in. And if you don't like red and green, you can change these colors. When you're first beginning the comparison, you can change them to blue and yellow, whatever you want for those colors. And everything that's gray, that's all identical from one drawing to the next. So that's AutoCAD Compare. The next thing we're going to look at is shared views. Shared views has existed within AutoCAD for a while, but it's been improved for AutoCAD 2019. So to begin, I'm going to click on Shared Views, and it brings up a Shared View palette. I'm actually going to turn off my Cap Explorer there so that it doesn't take up so much space. Shared views are something that you can share with your customers. You can share them with people that don't have AutoCAD. If you're a designer and you need to share something with a salesperson who has no wish to know the nuts and bolts of how the drawing is made, you can also share views with your salespeople. That way they don't have to have AutoCAD installed. So right now I already have a view that's been shared, but I'm going to start a new one for you. But to do that, I'm going to come over to my webinar scene. So this Shared View palette, it's showing me all the shared views for any drawing that's open. So I already had one done for this webinar scene, so it was showing me that. I'm going to create a new shared view. It's going to pop up and ask me what I want to name it. Give it a dummy name. You can share the current view or model view in all layouts. I'm just going to leave it for the current view. Do I want the 2D views only, and do I want to share object properties? I'm just going to leave everything by default and hit Share. It tells me it needs to process that in the background, and it wants to know if I'm okay with that. So I'm going to go ahead and click Proceed. And in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little bit of motion on your screen. This is an icon that's telling you that it's publishing the view. Now I chose a smaller drawing because it takes a bit of time to take that view and upload it out to the servers. And these are AutoCAD servers, Autodesk servers. When it's done being published, it'll pop up a little bubble telling me that it's ready to go. Okay, so there it goes. I can click on View in Browser right here if I want, but I'm not going to do it from here. I'm going to close this. I'm going to come back over to my Shared View palette, and I'm going to refresh it. So now that I've refreshed, I see this Demo 1, 2, 3, 4 collaboration view. And on the right-hand side, there's 3 buttons. If I click on those 3 buttons, the choices I can do here are View in Browser, Copy Link, Extend, and Delete. Now, View in Browser, I can click on that, and then it'll pop it over to my default browser on my system, and it'll show me the view. Copy Link, if I click that, it'll put the link on my clipboard, and then I can go into an email, and I can send that off to a customer, and then they click on the link, and they'll view it in a browser. Extend is meant for extending the expiration date of these. These, by default, they only live for 30 days. They're only available for 30 days. So if you create these and you're sharing with someone and you need more time, you can just go in and hit extend as many times as you want. If you want to get rid of one, you can go ahead and delete. I'm going to go ahead and click on View in Browser. That pops me over to, I have Chrome as my browser. And it shows me the Demo 1234 Collaboration view. Now, right now, I'm signed in as me inside of AutoCAD, and I'm also signed in as me here in the Autodesk viewer. The idea would be that it would be on a different computer, a different person. So when they go to put comments in, they would be putting comments in as themselves, not as the same person. There's a comment section here in the top right area. If I just go ahead and click comments, I can put a general comment in about the whole thing. I can post that. I can also pick specific things within the scene, within the view. So I'm going to pick this table, and I want to put a comment on that table. I can post that. Okay, so now I have a couple of comments in here that I've put with this scene. If I flip back to AutoCAD, I can see that I got to refresh. It'll show me that there are 2 comments. So I'm going to click on this view, and it's going to expand the comments down. So if this is just a general one, I can look at this and see, okay, the customer thought it looks nice. That's good. And I can check Resolve, and that resolves it. It makes it go away for now. If the customer puts a note in there, or somebody that you're working with that's looking at the view puts a note in that asks, is this thing too big? You can actually reply and say, nope. You can, well, it helps if you put your cursor in the field. You can say that nope, it's good, and you can post that. So that comes in as a comment. Now if I go back to the view here, I hit refresh on this, you'll see that the comment that I replied with appears in line with that same comment. So using the shared views is a good way to collaborate with either someone that you work with on the design or sales side, or with your customer themselves. And remember that they don't need to have AutoCAD installed to do this. If they don't have any connection to AutoCAD or Autodesk at all, they can create a free account, and then they can use this Autodesk viewer, and you can send them the link and share and communicate back and forth to your heart's content. Okay, the next section I'm going to be going over has to do with new things that we've added for 2020 Visual Impression and the 2018.0 release. The first thing I'm going to be covering here is a change that we've made to what we consider room architecture. In the past, room architecture has been anything that you put into the scene, like floor obstacles, lights, columns, posts, as well as the walls, doors, and windows. Now with the 2018.0 release, we're also including the floor and the ceiling in that mix, so that when you're going to go and hide room architecture, it's going to hide everything in the scene except your furniture and extras. The reason we left extras in here is that sometimes people will put extras in the scene, like computers on a table or different accessories to help fill out the scene. We wanted to put hide architecture in here so that it draws more attention to the furniture and how it would be used, and it takes the environment a little bit more out of the mix. So if you find yourself often going into your scenes and using the hide room architecture feature, we actually have added a new setting to default room settings so that you can set your room architecture to be hidden on all scenes when you open them. If I go over to my room settings, there's a new room architecture and camera section. If I uncheck this show room architecture checkbox and then hit save, all scenes that I open after that are going to open up with the room architecture turned off. So I'm going to go choose my work area, a different scene. So here's this scene. It opens up and it has all of its architecture hidden by default. This is the default room setting applying on this scene. And if you use this frequently, you might want to go ahead and uncheck that box. But if there are times when, for a particular customer or for this particular scene, you do want to see everything, it's real easy to go to the the view section there on the dashboard and just choose Show All. And then everything is back in the scene. I'm going to flip back over to our meeting room here. I'm going to show you a couple more things within Visual Impression. Okay, so this is our meeting room scene. I'm going to show all on this one because we need to have the room's walls visible. The next thing I'm going to be talking about now is the fact that we've added the ability to change your perspective from 3-point to 2-point right here on the dashboard. The 2-point perspective is the industry standard, and it's the preferred way of doing a render. So we wanted to make it easy enough for people to switch quickly, grab a snapshot, and then switch it back to 3-point so they can work with it within Visual Impression. So I'm going to switch to 2-point. And you'll notice that all of the vertical lines are parallel to each other now. There is one restriction that you have when you're working within 2-point perspective, and that's that you lose some of the orbit functions. So you have a little bit of limitations that you put in, but it's easy enough for you to work with the scene, take your snapshot, verify the snapshot is there, so this is good, this is what you're going to want to do when you create a color board, and then switch back to 3-point, and now you're back in your normal flow of working within 2020 Visual Impression. Like the room architecture, if you find yourself using 2-point perspective very often, you may want to have 2-point perspective be the default. And if you notice when I was in the default room settings, this room architecture and camera section has a use 2-point perspective checkbox for default room scenes. So once I check this and hit save, when I open up a scene, it's going to default to a 2-point perspective, and that'll be what you're working with from the get-go. But like the hide room architecture, it's very easy to show it. It's very easy to change from 2-point to 3-point right here on the dashboard. So I think that's all I have. I thank you for watching my presentation, and I'm going to turn it back over to Cindy.
Thanks, Chad. Okay, so just to recap what we've shown you today, Office 2018, including CAP, Giza, Worksheet, and Visual Impression, were shipped with the May 2018 commercial content discs. They probably should already have arrived at your dealership, so if you don't have them yet, you might want to look for them. Some of the things we covered today, CAP 2018 provides support for AutoCAD 2019, and Chad showed you a couple of the new and exciting features in 2019 that might be helpful to you. Visual Impression 2018 includes new features to make it easier to toggle between 2-point and 3-point perspectives when creating snapshots, and a way to hide room architecture for those who just want to show the furniture. Worksheet 2018 has new fields for catalog name and manufacturer name. The validate functionality is now combined with update against catalog and update against worksheet. There are new reports available to more easily present your projects. There's a knowledge-based toolbar pick in each application to make it easier to find help and information. And all of our in-application branding is now up to date. So let's go back to the slideshow just for a couple of other points of interest here. One of the things, just a reminder, you want to follow us on our social media for weekly tips and tricks. We do something called Tip Tuesday, Knowledge Wednesday, and Sunday Reading. So between, let's see if I get this right, Facebook, Instagram, I'm drawing a blank now. I don't know if it's on LinkedIn, but we have several social media sites that we support. And you can get additional office information there. Our training schedule is online all the time. You can pick a training style that fits your needs. So if you're like online training, we have virtual classroom training, which is live and instructor-led. You can do a 2 or 4 day in-class classroom type training to get more in depth with different products. Or you can build your own agenda for an online or an on-site class, and that's a custom type class. So those are all available to you. We're continuing to grow places for you to get the help you need at any time. So obviously you can do training like we just covered. We now have a knowledge center, which includes a lot of knowledge-based articles that will allow you to kind of do things yourself. And we also have our 2020 community that continues to grow. That pretty much includes our presentation for today. And here's my social media sites: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, if you want more information about us. And we also have videos on YouTube. So thank you for your time and attention today, and hope to see you again soon. Thank you.